Okay, so good day my fellow taong bayan mga Kasimor, at ngayon po pag-usapan natin yung latest development sa 2026 impeachment case si VP Sara as of today, April 22, 2026, kasi kanina po, alam nyo naman na siguro, nagkaroon po ng impeachment hearings ang Committee on Justice kung saan may mga mabibigat pong revelation yung Anti-Money Laundering Council at si former Senator Sonny Trillanes, meron din po siyang mabibigat na allegations in relation dun sa AMLAC report at sa SALN po na nireport din ng Ombudsman. So for today po, yung main issues talaga natin is kung ano yung epekto nitong report ng AMLAC, ng SALN, itong allegations po ni former Senator Sonny Trillanes, kung whether or not lalakas ba yung kaso against VP Sara Duterte at kung posible pa rin ba na mapawalang bisa ni VP Sara lahat tong mga nangyari po kanina sa hearing. Okay, so yan po ang maging video natin for today. Okay, so una po, facts po muna ng discussion natin. So yung pinaka-facts po natin will be based lang on the actual hearing kanina ng Committee on Justice, House of Representatives, April 22, 2026. So kung gusto nyo po panoorin yung buong hearing talaga, you can do so dito sa YouTube account po ng House of Representatives. Kita nyo naman po, it has 280,000 subscribers and yung title po ng hearing is Committee on Justice, Close Open, April 22, 2026. Okay, and then ito pong naka-flash ngayon sa screen ninyo is the report of the Office of the Ombudsman in relation po sa statements of assets, liabilities, and net worth of Vice President Sara Duterte from the year up to 2024. Okay, so in conclusion po, ang pinaka-total net worth ni VP Sara based on her SALN is 88,512,000, so on and so forth. Basta nasa 88 million po. Ito yung ni-report ng Office of the Ombudsman. And then yung timestamp po, itong discussion ng Ombudsman is nasa more or less around -7 hours and 22 minutes. So i-adjust nyo lang po itong red button na to, lagay nyo dun sa -7:22 para mapanood nyo po yung Ombudsman discussion. So yung pinapakita ko po pala sa inyo is yung mga highlights na lang ng mga happenings kanina para po mas efficient yung discussion natin. But again, if you want to watch this in full, just do so na lang po dito sa House of Representatives YouTube account. Okay, and then this one naman po, yung fina-flash ko ngayon sa screen ninyo, ito yung report ng Anti-Money Laundering Council. So this one po yung naka-picture dito is si Attorney Buenaventura, the Executive Director of AMLC. So he gave a report on the transactions po na nangyari or na record po nila sa account ni VP Duterte at sa asawa po niya si Attorney Mans Carpio for the years 2005 to 2015. Yung naka-flash dito 2015, pero kung pakinggan nyo, sinasabi nila up to 2026. So I'm not sure bakit naputol. Pero overall yung total nasa around 3.9 billion. So take note po na these are transactions. So when you say transactions po, ito yung mga pumasok na pera at lumabas na pera. Yung basically yung cash flow po yung dumaan. It does not necessarily mean na meron pong buong 3.9 billion ngayon dun sa account ni VP Sara or sa asawa niyang ni Attorney Mans. Okay, so again, overall transactions po nila to na kinonsider po ng Anti-Money Laundering Council as either a suspicious or a covered transaction ng Anti-Money Laundering Act. Okay, so mamaya po mas explain ko yung legal nuances ng AMLA talaga, pero for now, explain ko muna sa inyo yung mga factual circumstances na nangyari kanina para mas maintindihan nyo po yung flow. And then for the Anti-Money Laundering Council naman po, mahaba rin to, pero itong part na naka-flash ngayon sa screen ninyo ay makikita po ninyo na sa 3 hour and 28 minutes na timestamp. Okay, so again, i-move nyo na lang po itong red button. Tapos yung next po na happening naman ay yung allegations ni former Senator Sonny Trillanes. So in summary po, yung pinaka-point dito ni former Senator Trillanes is that si VP Sara Duterte and the rest of the Duterte family ay meron daw tinanggap na money from mga Lord, yung mga D-Lords. Okay, so hindi ko lang masabi yung first word kasi baka po ma-restrict tayo or ma-censor. So when I say D-Lord, gets yun naman po siguro kung ano yung pinaka-point ko doon. Okay, so again, yung allegation ni former Senator Trillanes, itong mga amounts itong naka-flash sa screen niyo at yung iba pa po na diniscuss niya pa dito ay from D-Lords nga daw po na binigay sa Duterte family. So these are the very serious allegations po ni former Senator Trillanes. And you can watch this po sa timestamp na 5 hour 21 minute more or less. And then yung next pong nangyari after mag-testify ni former Senator Sonny Trillanes ay ito naman pong part na to around 6 hour and 19 minutes onwards ay kinompare ngayon ng Committee on Justice based on the AMLAC records at yung testimony ni former Senator Sonny Trillanes kung magkatugma ba sila. Okay, so merong mga interesting na mga nakita dito pero mamaya po natin explain yan para mas maintindihan nyo talaga. Okay, so yan po ang pinaka-facts ng discussion natin. Ngayon po, mag-legal legal discussion na tayo at i-start ko po muna with the Anti-Money Laundering Act and the Anti-Money Laundering Council, yung basics po talaga ng AMLA para mas maintindihan ninyo. Okay? Okay, so yung first question po natin dito is whether or not because of this report ng AMLA na may cash flow nga si VP Duterte at si Atty. Mans amounting to 3.9 billions of pesos, ibig sabihin po ba nun may criminal act na agad na ginawa sila VP Sara? So ang sagot po dyan ay hindi po, wala pa pong criminal act kasi ito pong report ng AMLA, this is somewhat similar to a COA, Notice of Disallowance, in the sense na yung COA, di ba yung purpose niya ay na disallow ka because hindi mo lang nasunod yung auditing practice. Whereas naman po sa Anti-Money Laundering Council, ang ginagawa naman po nila ay minomonitor lang nila yung tinatawag na suspicious or covered transactions. Pero yung mga transactions na yun does not automatically equal to a criminal activity. Kundi yun lang siya, it is either a suspicious or a covered transaction under the Anti-Money Laundering Act. Okay? So yung definition po ng mga transaction na yan, when you say covered transaction, yan po yung 500,000 and 1 pataas. Pag may ganun po kayong i-deposit sa bangko or i-withdraw, kailangan po yan i-report ng bangko sa Anti-Money Laundering Council. Okay, tapos pag sinasabi naman pong suspicious transaction, hindi siya umabot dun sa 500,000 1 peso threshold, pero due to a certain pattern, it appears na mukha siyang may relation to an unlawful activity. Okay, so yan lang po yan. This is more on a monitoring tool po para makita yung cash flow ng mga individuals na may malalaking amounts involved. Kasi baka yung mga individuals na yon ay may mga ginagawang kung ano-anong unlawful activity. So in summary, yun nga po, financial tool to monitor the finances para later on po kung magkaroon ng mga criminal cases ay pwede siya magamit as evidence. So kaya ako siya nasabi na somewhat similar to a COA, Notice of Disallowance. Diba? Na yung Notice of Disallowance, pag maging decision na rin siya talaga, pwede siya gamitin as evidence then in a criminal case later on kung let's say may fraud nga na ginawa aside from dun sa hindi lang sumunod sa auditing practices na required ng COA. Okay? So in other words, just like the COA Notice of Disallowance decision, this can be used as a foundation or as a tool or as an evidence to possibly establish a crime beyond reasonable doubt later on. So in very simple terms, para siyang preliminary tool. Diba? Dito, financial monitoring. So pag ganyan po kasi nagkakaroon ng record, so parang nagkakaroon ng paper trail ngayon na pwede sundan yung mga investigators. So mamaya po, mas explain ko yan doon naman sa side ng Committee on Justice. Okay, so anyway po, yan lang naman yung basics ng Anti-Money Laundering Act and the Anti-Money Laundering Council at kung ano yung purpose sa mga reports nila. So ngayon po, discuss naman natin yung mga possible effect nito sa impeachment case ni VP Sara sa side po ng prosecution, the Committee on Justice, and of course, sa side din ni VP Sara kung ano yung maging epekto sa both parties na yon in the impeachment case. Quick break lang mga kasimor, gusto ko lang po magpasalamat because we have recently crossed 400,000 subscribers sa YouTube. So maraming salamat po sa mga nakasubscribe na. Thank you in advance sa mga magsasubscribe pa lang. At sa mga nanonood po ngayon, hopefully you can consider liking and subscribing this video. So tandaan po ninyo, pag sa YouTube kayo mag-subscribe, 100% free ang YouTube subscription. Okay, ngayon po, tuloy tayo sa discussion. Okay, so yung sa side po ng Committee on Justice, because of all these happenings, ito pong SALN report, AMLAC report, testimony and allegations si former Senator Trillanes, and then the pagbangga nga ng records sila ng AMLAC and the testimony ni former Sen Trillanes. Ang nangyari ngayon on the part of the Committee on Justice ay meron na po silang foundation or paper trail towards a very specific criminal act, which is yung allegedly involvement daw ni VP Sara Duterte and the Duterte family dun sa mga D-Lords. So again, because of all this po, nagkaroon na ng paper trail na pwede nilang sundan para ma-establish nila beyond reasonable doubt yung krimen na nire-relate nila to an impeachable offense. So yung pinakaginawa lang naman po nila, itong mga naka-flash na to is according to Senator Trillanes, yung allegations po niya is that these are D-Lords daw yung nagpadala nito kay VP Sara and to the rest of the Duterte family. So yan po yung ginawa nila, allegations is former Sen Trillanes, tas pinagbangga po nila sa official records from AMLAC. So in other words, nasa strengthen po nila yung current case nila against the Vice President of the Republic of the Philippines sa impeachment case niya. Okay, so yan lang naman po ang pinaka-effect talaga nito sa Committee on Justice. Mas nagkaroon nga po sila ng foundation or paper trail, which will hopefully make it easier for them to prosecute the full case against VP Sara. Okay, so ngayon, ang next question, ano yung mga posibleng next step na mangyari? Kasi sa House of Representatives pa lang naman po tayo, di ba? Wala pa talaga sa trial proper. So ano yung pinaka-relevance talaga nitong mga kaganapan na to dito sa Committee on Justice level? And of course, yung pinaka-relevance po niyan sa kanila ay kung ako po tatanungin based on all these events plus yung mga other hearings pa nila, ay wala na talagang kaduda-duda na may probable cause talaga sila para iakyat yung kaso against VP Sara to the Senate for the trial proper. Diba? Because again, yung probable cause po is a very low evidentiary requirement po yan eh. It is simply lampas lang po ng konti sa mere suspicion or yung mga suspetsya lang. So pag yung conclusion mo po, tingnan mo lahat ng evidence ay mukhang may ginawa tong kalokohan yung isang tao na to or posible siyang may ginawa or the specific words po of the law ay probably may ginawa siyang krimen, that is sufficient to constitute po as probable cause. So because of all the happenings, itong mga case records na nila ngayon ay wala naman sigurong kaduda-duda talaga na may probable cause. So therefore, most likely po, ang next step nito ay iakyat na talaga nila sa Senate, di ba? So papagbotohan po nila sa committee, tapos after nyan, kahit po actually ma-deny sa committee, pwede yan i-overturn sa plenary. So after po, pagbotohan sa plenary, iakyat na nila yan sa Senate. Okay? So again, ang pinaka-point ko lang po talaga dito, wala nang kaduda-duda na may probable cause talaga. And as a final remark lang po dito sa Committee on Justice level, again, take note po, this is preliminary stages pa lang po talaga to because yung AMLAC report nga, just like a COA notice of disallowance, it does not establish guilt beyond reasonable doubt in relation to a specific crime, diba? It is a preliminary matter, a foundational tool para magkaroon ng paper trail nga na pwede sundan yung committee. Okay, so yan lang po. Gusto ko lang din i-explain sa inyong lahat kasi yun nga po, wala pang guilt beyond reasonable doubt na establish for a specific crime. Again, preliminary matter pa lang po to. So as usual, ina-explain ko lang po to kasi I always explain, diba, on a legal step-by-step basis and on a per-issue basis. Hindi po tayo conclusory dito sa channel ko. Lagi tayong one step at a time kasi gusto ko po maintindihan talaga ninyo per step ng mga legal processes natin. Hindi po kasi yan porket may allegation, conclusion agad. Hindi po yun ganun. Meron pa po yung mga in-betweens na proceeding which is yung trial proper, yung pag-review ng records lahat before ma-establish kung whether or not guilty ba talaga. Okay, so ngayon po, punta naman tayo sa side ni VP Duterte kung ano yung posibleng epekto nito sa kanya and kung ano yung mga possible defenses niya against all these developments po sa Committee on Justice as of today, April 22, 2026. Okay, so as to VP Sara Duterte, it is still the same defenses pa rin naman po. Yung final po niya, unang-una yung petition for certiorari sa Supreme Court. So number one dyan is yung fishing expedition na defense niya kasi yung subpoena was issued after nag-file na siya ng answer ad cautelam. Tapos yung mga evidence na pinapagather ay mga evidence in relation to matters na according to them ay hindi part ng ultimate facts ng complaint. So in other words, fishing expedition nga po. Tapos kung let's say mag-grant talaga yung certiorari ni VP Sara later on, yung lahat po ng nakuhang ebidensya from that subpoena na issue ay posible po mapawalang bisa. So itong mga happenings na to, alam naman po natin, di ba, na this is from the subpoena ng Committee on Justice. So yun po, kung mag-grant yung certiorari niya in relation to that fishing expedition defense, posible po mapawalang bisa lahat tong mga nag-gather na evidence. Okay? And then yung pangalawang argument is still the mini trial argument kasi tandaan po natin, the sole power to try is given po to the Senate as an impeachment trial court. So dito, especially in this part here, itong naka-flash po sa screen ninyo, pinapagbangga kasi ngayon yung allegations ni former Senator Trillanes versus the actual records ng AMLA. So kung ako po ang tatanungin ninyo, that can be argued as a determination already of a legal issue, diba? Kung whether or not totoo ba yung allegation ni former Senator Trillanes. So because of that, it can be argued po na there is an overreaching on the sole power to try sa impeachment cases itong ginagawa ng House of Representatives. So kung grant po yun, yung ganong prayer ni VP Duterte, ide-declare po to ng Supreme Court as unconstitutional itong mga actions na ganito ng House of Representatives. So pag ma-declare as unconstitutional, edi mapapawalang bisa po yung lahat ng developments in that action which was declared as unconstitutional. And then yung next po na defense si VP Sara is yung sa bank secrecy naman. Kasi yung nakalagay po doon as an exception na pwede silipin yung bank records is in impeachment cases. Pero hindi po nakadefine kung anong stage ng impeachment case, diba? Kasi tatandaan po natin, in an impeachment, may two phases po yan. Yung initiation of impeachment, which is sa side ng House of Representatives, which is ito po, yung nangyayari ngayon currently, and then yung trial proper naman sa side ng Senate. So currently, ang klaro lang po, kung ako ang tatanungin ninyo, na-review yung bank records dati ni former Chief Justice Corona dun sa Senate, and they applied the exception to the bank secrecy law. So ang magandang next issue dito na hopefully ma-address din is whether or not yung exception na yon also applies po dito sa House of Representatives na stage. Kasi kung tatandaan po natin sa House of Representatives na stage, this is still more on an evaluative process pa lang po of the impeachment complaint. Wala pa talaga ang actual trial on the merits. Therefore, it can be argued na hindi dapat applicable dito kasi pag nagre-review na po ng mga evidence, yung genuineness ng evidence, yung contents ng evidence, yung full contents ng evidence to determine legal issues ay dapat sa trial proper. So yan yung isang posibleng defense din po ni VP Sara in relation to the bank secrecy law. Okay? And then yung next po is yung test of relevancy ng mga evidence kasi kung titingnan po natin dito, 2007 to 2021 or actually even up to the halfway point ng 2022 ay alam naman po natin na si VP Sara ay hindi pa Vice President ng Republic of the Philippines. So it has been consistently held naman po ng Supreme Court na dapat yung impeachable offense ay mag-relate dun sa actions po ng isang impeachable officer during her term as an impeachable officer. So in simple terms, dapat yung mga actions lang ni VP Sara as the Vice President yung pwede gamitin as an impeachable offense in an impeachment case. Okay, so ngayon kung titingnan po natin, again, itong 2007 to first half ng 2022, hindi pa naman po impeachable officer dyan si VP Duterte. Therefore, hindi pwede gamitin yon as basis sa impeachment case niya. And then pangalawa, itong mga bank records din po sa AMLAC starting 2005. Again, hindi po impeachable officer pa si VP Duterte dyan. Therefore, pwede po i-argue ni VP Duterte na for the years 2005 up to the first half of 2022 ay irrelevant to the impeachment case. Because yun nga po, hindi pa siya impeachable officer during that time. Okay? And then, yung pinaka-last po na defense dito ni VP Sara, kasi usually po after ma-check lahat ng mga technical issues, yung mga rules of procedure issues, pupunta na yan ngayon sa substantive aspect of the case, diba? So of course, pag substantive aspect na yung pinapag-usapan, ang best defense po dyan ay kontrahin niya or i-refute niya lahat ng allegations via her own evidence din. So itong mga suspicious or covered transactions, as itong mga allegations sa kanya in relation to SALN, ay i-refute lang niya, i-explain niya ano yung mga actual events na nangyari, ano yung actual circumstances, kasi baka ito, like dito sa mga covered transactions, ay baka business income pala yun from their corporation, pinadaan lang nila dun sa personal accounts niya, or let's say, political donation. So in other words po, kontrahin lang niya kung ano yung mga i-allege against her, kasi may trabaho naman talaga niyan is ipakita ng prosecution paano yung mga ganitong transactions nag-constitute as an impeachable offense. So kung ano yung ipapakita ng prosecution sa trial proper, i-explain lang ni VP Sara yung side niya na ito yung tunay na nangyari dyan sa mga ganung allegation. Okay, so yan lang naman po ang pinaka-last defense talaga ni VP Sara is to refute the claims. So as a final remark po, ang masasabi ko lang, kung probable cause lang po ang pinapag-usapan, sapat na po talaga ang meron ang House of Representatives. So sana po iakyat na talaga sa Senate, diba? Para malaman na po talaga ng Filipino people, the taong bayan, kung sino ba sa parties ang nagsasabi ng totoo. Is it the Vice President as the respondent, or is it the complainants as the ones alleging na si VP Sara po committed an impeachable offense? Diba? Because the more na pinapatagal to, nagkakaroon nga rin kasi ng perception na trial by publicity, and aside from that, of course, wastage din ng taxpayer funds. Kasi ang purpose nga lang po nila supposedly ay just to determine probable cause. At kung probable cause ang pag-usapan, like what I've already repeatedly explained, matagal na pong may probable cause kung ako lang tatanungin ninyo, because probable cause is a very low evidentiary requirement. Okay, so yan lang po masasabi ko as to this issue. Hopefully klaro po yan. If you like more legal videos and current events, subscribe lang po kayo sa channel ko. And until next time, see you all po. Bye-bye!